Hello, Who Dey Nation. You are watching Who Dey Network. Today, we're going to be predicting the Bengals schedule. So, week 1 against the Patriots. I'll let you start us off.
I think it's a win. I mean, Patriots probably have one of the weaker rosters in the league. Mm-hmm. Drake May, rookie quarterback. I'm not sure how he's going to perform in his first start ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think this one for me is a pretty clear win, even though the Bengals do struggle early season usually, but I don't see any huge surprises here.
I agree. I mean, I don't think they lose to the Patriots. Now, there's some teams here, week 1, where it wouldn't even have to be a crazy good team to where I think they could have their number. But against the Patriots, I mean, I don't think there's really much of a threat there. I mean, like you said, they struggle early, but I think it's an easy win. They got a rookie quarterback. Not the greatest offense last year. He's going to have to try to manage that offense.
Head coach.
I don't think it's true. New head coach.
How Gerard Mayo is going to do.
Okay defense with a couple good players, but it's not consistent. I think that's a W. On to the Chiefs, week 2. Personally, so the Bengals normally, I think, have the Chiefs number. Normally, I'm picking the Bengals over the Chiefs, but with it being week 2, I just have a feeling the Chiefs are going to beat them week 2. It's early in the season, and with the Bengals trying to get acclimated to some more things than what the Chiefs are, I think. Joe Burrow hopefully being healthy. I think the Chiefs take them down week 2.
I mean, the Bengals the last 3 years, I would say, have struggled really early in the season because, one, they faced a lot of injuries. I mean, Burrow had the calf injury and then the appendix injury, and then he was coming off of the knee injury, and then this year he's coming off of the wrist injury. So it's hard to say. And the Bengals are one of the worst teams at not playing anybody in the preseason, which I understand that. Because you don't want anybody to get hurt. But also, it's like your entire starting roster comes into week 1 not having played any football except in practices. So it's like, I would at least like to see some of your guaranteed starters getting some preseason time. If they're new guys like a Geno Stone or a Mike Gesicki, just throw them out there for a couple plays. Let them get used to the team, the field, the playbook. I really don't like the Chiefs. I think that's apparent. I would definitely say a loss here for the Bengals just because it's early in the season. And
I agree.
I feel like the Chiefs are much more. I mean, they lost some pieces and gained some pieces, but the Bengals lost a lot more.
Their team's changed a lot more.
The Bengals have changed much more. So I would say loss there.
Okay. Commanders. So for me, this one's a little bit of like could go any way. Because I feel like the Commanders are going to have a better year this year. Their defense was actually an underrated defense for last year. They didn't have a bad defense at all. And their offense wasn't the greatest. But I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the Commanders are one of those teams where they could have a big switch up with Jaden Daniels coming into the team. Terry McLaurin, he didn't really have much of an impact last year, which I think he'll have a lot more of an impact if he's got a better passer throwing to him. And on top of that, I've been hearing Brandon Ayuk. You never know. Could happen.
You don't know where he's going. He could end up anywhere, though.
He goes to the Commanders. He could end up anywhere. But I don't know. I think, honestly, this game will be a somewhat close game. But I think the Bengals will still win it, personally. So I'm thinking this is a win.
I think I'm probably going to say loss here. Just because, again, we talk about early season, and usually that early season for the Bengals lasts about 4 or 5 weeks, where they really struggle. And I see my prediction with Jaden Daniels is, I think just the way he plays, he's going to come in and be much better week 1, 2, and 3 than people think he's going to be. And it's going to take an amount of the season for defenses to figure him out. I mean, he's a very risky quarterback, and he's kind of hard to figure out. I think at some point defenses will figure him out, and I think there will be a drop in production at some point in the year, but I think he will start the year hot. And I don't typically like the Bengals at the start of the year to win much. I mean, I took them over the Patriots, but I think the last 2 or 3 years, they've started with a losing record in the first 5 games. So it's I would say a loss here, but I could see it going either way.
Okay. So what about the Panthers? What are you thinking there?
Panthers, I'm taking a win.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Bengals roster as of right now, better than the Patriots, better than the Commanders, better than the Panthers that we've covered. I wouldn't say better than the Chiefs. But
I think they have the potential to 100% be better than the Chiefs.
I mean, potential-wise,
but
yes.
off of
consistency and
off of
what we've seen.
No.
Yeah. So I don't see them losing 3 straight games, especially losing to the Commanders and the Panthers back to back. I mean, I do see a Bryce Young bounce back this year, and I think they could be solid because you have Deontay Johnson, right? And then they picked up some other pieces, but I would put my money on the Bengals for this game.
Yeah, so this is where, it kind of gets hard. So honestly, the thing with the Panthers is I think they're going to have a huge bounce back year because they were awful last year. I'm not saying they're going to be amazing. I'm not saying they're even going to make the playoffs. They may not, but I think they're going to play a lot higher level than what they did last year. I mean, because Bryce Young, I feel like hasn't really gotten a chance to show what he's capable of doing.
Yeah.
They revamped their O-line. They got a lot of pieces for the O-line. They picked up, I believe, Robert Hunt and maybe somebody else too. Their O-line, they revamped that. They got Deontay Johnson. They picked up Xavier Leggett, drafted him.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he'll be a good player. I think he'll, kind of a DK Metcalf kind of role in the way he plays. Not as athletic, but a similar player. They also got tight end, what's his name? The really good tight end from Texas. Jatavion Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
They got Jatavion Sanders
They did get him. I forgot about that.
So Bryce Young's going to have a lot of pass catchers. Running back-wise, they drafted a running back. I want to say they drafted the running back from Texas, too.
I was going to say Jonathan Brooks.
I think that's what his name was.
I can look it up.
So the Panthers' offense is going to be completely revamped. I think they're actually going to have a pretty solid offense. I think their offense is going to go from bottom offense in the league to I don't want to say a top offense by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do end up having maybe a top 20 offense. Just by all those changes, because I think Bryce Young has had the potential ever since he came in the league, and he showed flashes of that.
Yeah.
He's never had the roster to be able to do that. And their defense, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. They did lose Brian Burns. But if they can hold up and be a decent defense, I think their offense can carry them far enough. So this one, honestly, I'm kind of thinking one of two things. So I know I said a win for the Commanders, but I'm thinking if they beat the Commanders, I feel like they're going to lose to the Panthers. But if they lose to the Commanders, I think they're going to beat the Panthers.
I can see that because I
don't know why.
They're not. I don't think they're going to lose.
Yeah, but I'm thinking one of those games they might lose.
Yeah, so that's why I said loss to the Commanders, win to the Panthers.
Yeah, so I'll say loss to the Panthers here.
Yeah, I do think I will say the Panthers could be a playoff team, but I think the only way they're going to sneak into the playoffs is as the 4 seed. I don't think they're going to be 1 through 3 or 5 through 7.
Well,
I think they're in probably the weakest division in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
The Falcons are you have Kirk, but they have offensive
The Falcons have a
pieces.
lot of potential.
Yes,
they just haven't ever been will to put it together.
Yeah.
So it's will it be the year? Yeah. Nobody knows.
The Saints are getting old. I mean, Derek Carr is getting old, and you have Chris Olave, but it's
Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. Those are your two main pieces on offense.
Yeah, but again, you could consider him getting old as far as running backs go.
He had a productive year last year.
Yeah,
but it's hard when your quarterback's terrible.
Yeah, and the Bucs. I like the Buccaneers. I like me some Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
but again, the roster not super
They're
strong.
a good team, but
I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I mean, if I had my pick, I would say the Falcons are probably gonna win the division.
I agree.
But
them are the Buccaneers.
But I'm saying there's a chance the Panthers sneak in there.
I
mean, it's not going to be with a 12-5 record. It would be with a 9-8 record, where they played well enough in the division to sneak into the playoffs.
The thing is,
I can see that happen.
Is the Panthers? I really don't see any way the Panthers could have a worse season than the Saints. I don't think the Panthers are going to be at the bottom of their division.
I really don't think so.
I really think the Panthers are at least going to be better than the Saints, and I think they definitely, like you said, have the potential to beat out one or both of those teams.
Yeah.
The Ravens, what do you think about the Ravens?
I said 5 week. You're usually a 5 week span for the start of the year, and I would say an L to the Ravens. I think I usually last year they were 0-2 against the Ravens. Mm-hmm. They were pretty bad in the division anyway. I expect another slow start to the year from the team, and I expect the Ravens to come in hot. I mean, Lamar, if Lamar can stay healthy and you have Derrick Henry now, and then you have Zay Flowers, I expect a big jump. The defense is solid. You lose Patrick Queen, but I like the Ravens defense. I would take the Ravens here.
I completely agree. I think the Ravens are going to have their number because, like we talked about early in the seasons where they struggle, and I think this is going to be, for me, looking at who's ahead of them too. I think this is going to be like their defining game of where they have a good game, but they get beat. And then they start overcoming that. They start bouncing back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they put up a good fight in this game, and I feel like it's a close game down to the wire. And I think they lose, and then I think that flips a switch in the whole Bengals organization as a whole, where everybody's like, all right, we should have had that one. That was an important game. Let's get it rolling. Then I think they start winning. So I think this is an L here too. I mean, like you said, the Ravens are going to have a good team. I mean, Keaton Mitchell's not going to be ready by then. So Derrick Henry's kind of going to be their only back that's going to really make an impact. But it's still going to be a big impact, even though I think personally Derrick Henry is not as good as what a lot of people think he is now in his career.
Yeah.
But he's still going to be a big enough impact because he's such a force when he's in there. The defense, they want to be able to adjust for Derrick Henry. Well, you got to realize your quarterback is also able to run very well.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they can run so many offensive schemes, and John Harbaugh is one of the better coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's like I said, I don't think Derrick Henry's at all even close to what he used to be, but he's still going to intimidate the defense.
Yeah.
So there's still so many things you can do just by his presence.
Yeah, you still have to commit to Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I would say L there too.
Yeah, we both have them at 2 and 3. At this point, I think that is kind of expected slow start to the year.
Yeah.
I think at this point, like you said, I mean, depends on how they play, but I think this could really be the bounce back where you see a good little win streak start. And I mean, Giants, I would say a win.
Yeah.
I don't mind the Giants, but you lose Saquon. Daniel Jones, he should have. His first couple years in the league, I was always like, Daniel Jones is going to be terrible. And then there was a couple years where it was like, Daniel Jones could be that guy for him. I was like, they gave him time to develop. He could be that guy for him. And then last year, going into this year, I'm like, I really don't think he's their guy. I think they've been committed to him for too long. I don't think he's great. The offense isn't great. It's just, I'm not huge on the Giants. I think they'll probably lose the NFC East. I think they'll probably be last in that division. I would say a win here for the Bengals. Pretty easy Bengals.
I think this is honestly, I think this is going to be a blowout game. Like I said, I think the Ravens, they get beat early, or even if they don't get beat, if they do win that game against the Ravens, I think regardless of the situation, it's going to be a close game. And then they're going to want to just absolutely stick it to the Giants, and I think it's going to be a blowout win. I think they're going to destroy the Giants. The Giants, I think Daniel Jones will prove why he should be their starting quarterback this year. He's got some more weapons, but he doesn't have Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
They've got Devin Singletary, Devin Singletary is a good running back.
Yeah,
but
but he's
not at all to the level of Saquon Barkley.
No.
So, I'm just thinking the Giants are going to be okay this year, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team or anything. I think they're just going to be kind of mediocre. They're going to have a good defense, I will say.
Yeah.
Their defense will be probably top 15 in the league, if not higher. But their offense I think they have a lot of figuring out to do, and I don't think it's going to be a good offense by any means. They'll just be kind of average.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a win. The Browns, okay, so this is where, for me, I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on the Browns?
I'm
right here.
Thinking, if we're just talking about the Browns, I think the Browns are going to be a good team this year. Obviously, you get Watson back. You get Nick Chubb back. Their secondary is incredible with, Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome and Grant Delpit. It's a very young, very proven secondary that I like a lot. And you obviously have Myles Garrett coming off Defensive player of the year, but you could argue that. But either way, he's still a top edge in the league.
So, and before we even say anything, though, so Nick Chubb, I haven't even seen necessarily like whether it's 100% or not. Is he cleared? Have they said for how early he's cleared to start?
I'm not 100%
because
sure
I don't know that he'll be ready by this time in the season. I don't know.
I mean, it was a pretty nasty.
I know. That's why I'm not 100% sure.
It was pretty early in the football season, I thought. Was it not?
Yeah.
So
I think it was.
I mean, it would probably be about a year from when he got injured by the time they play him.
It's just, I don't know. That's my only concern with the Browns is Nick Chubb going to be playing full capacity? Because he may be playing by this time, but are they going to allow him to really take control of the backfield? Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't follow the Browns very often. Obviously, I'm a Bengals fan, so I'm not 100% sure on where
it says
he's coming back.
Browns Nick Chubb feels like he'll be ready for the 2024 season after injury. So he could come out week 1.
Okay.
But you never know. But I think by week
this is
5,
what?
This is 7, week 7?
7th game, okay.
Yeah. So I think he'll be back, but also they just had a huge win to the Giants. They're riding momentum. I would take the Bengals here. I think the Bengals are going to be good this year. I think the roster looks better than the Browns, even though I just talked really good about the Browns roster. I would say the Bengals take this game.
Okay, so
jump over 500.
The Browns play the Bengals very late in the season on their next game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a trade-off here. Because the Browns normally, when we talk about the Bengals versus the Browns are like in the division. Normally, they're the team that beats us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I do. Part of me wants to say the Browns are going to beat them just because it's still kind of early. But like I said, I think it's going to be a big one for the Giants, and I think this is really going to be a bounce back moment. And I think they're going to. I think they're going to win out for quite a few weeks here.
That's what I was going to say.
So I'm saying a win to the Browns as well. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I don't know. I was just kind of, with the whole Nick Chubb situation, I don't know. And nobody knows. Even Nick Chubb, he doesn't know whether he's going to be ready or not. So he may, even if they say he's ready, it's like, is he going to re-aggravate it? Are they going to give him the whole backfield? Is he going to be limited?
Yeah.
Because they have Jerome Ford as well.
They do.
So they may not really give him the reins of the full backfield until
at the start of the season,
or week 5.
So
it's just, you don't know. Same with Deshaun Watson. Is that going to be bothering him still? Is he, even if it's not, are they going to be able to mesh the whole offense?
Yeah.
But you just don't know. I mean, we know their defense is going to show up and be there, but their offense, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'll win there too. The
Eagles? Yeah, I'll let you.
I think I think it's going to be a big win to the Giants. I don't think it's going to be a huge win to the Browns, but I think they're going to pull away late for the Browns. And I think the Eagles is going to be kind of like the Ravens. I think it's going to be a close-fought game.
Yeah.
But I think the Bengals are going to beat them. I really do. I think the Bengals are going to be riding that momentum. I think they're really going to be showing why they're a top team. I think the Eagles are, again, going to be a top team. I mean, they always kind of have been for the past however many years.
Yeah.
And I think the Bengals are going to take them down. And I think they're just going to be showing, like what type of team they are and that they're here to compete. You know, last year, not that it was their fault necessarily as a whole that they had that they didn't. I wouldn't say bad season, but they didn't have the season they wanted to.
No.
But it's hard when your starting quarterback is injured for the whole season. Mm-hmm. So I think this is really where they show, like, we're here to play. We want to go get a Super Bowl. So I think this is a W right here.
Yeah, I would also say a win. Mm-hmm. I think the Bengals come into this game hot. I like the Bengals after those first 5 games. I think they're going to – I mean, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but this is their statement game, I think. I mean, at this point,
I agree. I think
they would jump to 5-3, which is a very solid record as far as the league stands. I think this would be their statement game. I think this is where they really prove who they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for sure. I think this is definitely a big game where they show we're here to compete, and this is a win. The Raiders. What are you thinking?
Raiders are not very good.
They're not.
Their roster is. I couldn't tell you too many people on it, to be honest. I know Max Crosby.
Sure, yeah.
But Is Aiden O'Connell the starting quarterback?
Well, him or Gardner Minshew, which
Okay.
they both struggled, I've heard. So,
Yeah.
and it's hard because Gardner Minshew, he's been on a lot of teams.
He has.
So you would think he would adapt,
Yeah.
but you never
He's
know.
veteran.
Yeah, you never know. And it's not like last year he had an amazing season. He was just mediocre. And Aiden O'Connell's young and he has potential, but
Yeah.
how much potential does he have?
Yeah, I don't know. So, I don't think they're a great team. I think this is
Are you
the
thinking a
Bengals
blog game or
What?
Are you thinking this is going to be a blog?
I'm saying this is a steamroll game.
Okay.
I'm saying Bengals come in hot. They jump to 6-3. I'm saying they win by at least 20.
Okay.
This game, I like the Bengals a lot in this game.
So the thing with the Raiders is I don't think their offense is going to be really all that good at all. I mean, I think it's going to be better than last year because you have Brock Bowers now.
Yeah.
I think he's going to make a pretty big impact.
He could. He very
You
well
still have Devontae Adams. You still have Jacoby Myers.
could. Yeah.
I believe he's on the team, yeah. So they have some decent pass catchers.
do.
And it's just a fact of how well is their quarterback play going to be because their running backs, I mean, Zamir White's their starter. And last year he was pretty decent, but he wasn't. He was a backup, and he just did well when Josh Jacobs was hurt. So is he really a solidified starter? I don't know. I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Raiders' defense is going to give them troubles. I feel like this is going to be kind of like the Chiefs game last year, where I believe the Raiders beat the Chiefs last year. Their defense just gave the Chiefs struggles the whole game. Patrick Mahomes was throwing pick after pick. I believe it was Jack Jones, I want to say, was just absolutely antagonizing him. And then Max Crosby was all over the field. I don't know. I just feel like their defense is going to give the Bengals some troubles in this game.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win, but I think that the Raiders are going to compete with them for the fact of their defense and the fact that they have some reliable pass catchers who I feel like are just going to make some plays because the Bengals secondary isn't always consistent. So I think they're going to have some fluke deep plays to some people because they have some threats on their receiving core. It's just their quarterback plays isn't the greatest. So I think the Raiders are going to make some plays, and I think their defense is going to harass Joe Burrow throughout the game. But I think the Bengals are still going to come out with the win in the end. Yeah. So I think this is going to be more of a hard fought game. I don't know why. I just have that feeling.
I can see it.
But I think the Bengals are still going to come out with the win. So Ravens second game against the Ravens.
I think
You're thinking this is win or loss?
I think the Ravens take this one again.
You do?
I do. I think Lamar Jackson notoriously just tortures the Bengals. He does it a lot. He's a great player, 2-time MVP. I think you just won 4 games in a row. I think the Ravens at this point are probably going to have a similar record to what the Bengals have at this point. I mean, I think I
agree.
I have the Bengals at this point at 6-3.
I almost feel like they're going to be like tied, or one of them's going to be like a game above the other one. It's going to be really close.
Yeah, and I definitely see the Ravens breaking the win streak that the Bengals have going because, I mean, I would like to say that the Bengals have a better roster than the Ravens, which I could see, but I just think matchups wise, Lamar Jackson has always torched them. They struggle against the run, which is going to be run heavy.
Yeah, not just with Derrick Henry, but also Lamar Jackson. And by this time, Keaton Mitchell's probably going to be healthy. Yeah. That's a speed threat.
Yeah, so I would say a loss here for the Bengals.
Yeah, I honestly, I was thinking the same thing. I just figured you were going to say, oh, shoot, I put W, yeah. I was thinking the same thing, though. I was just figuring you were going to say that would be like a trade-off game where the Bengals would get the Ravens back because it'd be later in the season, which I'm thinking could happen. But I just feel like the Ravens, I don't know. I almost feel like the Bengals are a better team than the Ravens, but the Ravens just, for whatever reason, honestly, it's a lot of the teams in our division. Like, we can beat
Bengals struggle against the AFC North.
They can beat teams outside of their division. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of teams that really beat them consistently outside of our division. I mean, the Chiefs, they beat consistently.
When healthy.
The Bills, they beat consistently.
Usually.
Who else is, like, really at the top of the AFC who beats them ever?
I mean, not.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's just their own division. That's the problem they have.
Yeah.
So I think, the Ravens are going to beat them again. And honestly, I feel like the Ravens are going to beat them decently well this game.
I could see.
I feel like the first game they're going to be close, but I think this game the Ravens are going to have Keaton Mitchell now. I don't think they're going to have him at that first game, so I think they're going to have even more threats in the backfield for running the ball. And I don't know. I just think the Ravens are going to adjust to the Bengals defense just because they have so many weapons. And I don't know. I just think they're going to beat them again. And it sucks, but I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like the Ravens are going to have their number, even though I think the Bengals might be able to still win the division. I think the Ravens are just going to have their number. And same with a lot of people in the division. I personally think the Bengals are going to win the division, and I think they're going to win the division by beating teams outside the division.
Yes, yeah.
And then these teams getting beat by teams outside of the division or beating each other.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen personally.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking L there. Chargers, I'm thinking that's a W. I'm not even really thinking about it.
That's a W. It's a bounce back game, and also the Chargers.
I think this is going to be a blowout game. I think the Bengals defense is going to harass Justin Herbert. I think
he's no weapons.
He's the only way the Chargers can get a win is through Justin Herbert.
Yes,
but I think the Bengals defense is going to harass him and make him struggle. Because if Justin Herbert's struggling, there's no way. They don't have really any other playmakers. Like the running back is who? Gus Edwards is their starter. J.K. Dobbins, they have him too.
Did they sign both?
Yeah, they signed
Ravens
both guys. So, but J.K. Dobbins, is he even got to be healthy? He's always hurt. Gus Edwards is a decent running back, but he's not like a game changer by any means. He's just a power back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they lost both Mike Williams and
they lost their
Keenan
two
Allen.
big threats.
Yeah, so you have
it's like, who does he have to
Quentin
throw to?
Johnson, who could bounce back. Like,
I don't
want to throw shade on a guy going into his second year. Vlad McConkey.
I think he's going to have a pretty good year.
They still have Josh
honestly.
Palmer, right?
They do.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer's still on the team.
But that receiving core is not great. The offensive line is solid. But as far as I know, the defense isn't great.
No, I mean, the defense is just... I mean, they have Joey Bosa.
Do they still have Khalil Mack?
Yeah, Khalil Mack. So... See, well, the thing with the Chargers is, it seems like the Chargers do generate a lot of sacks.
They do.
With those guys, and their defensive line, I feel like puts some pressure a lot of times. But it's just their secondary, I don't feel like is always the greatest. I mean, the Chargers secondary, I mean, I don't even know if I could name anybody in the Chargers secondary just off the top of my head. I mean, their safety.
I really can't.
Forget his name. I don't know.
I'm blanking.
The Chargers secondary, it seems like has never been.
No, J.C. Jackson went back to the Patriots, right? He was on the Patriots, then went to the Chargers, then I think went back to the Patriots because he was bad on the Chargers. He was
bad on the Chargers, and that's the thing. The Chargers secondary struggled that year. I mean, J.C. Jackson was supposed to be the cornerback one, and he struggled. I think the Chargers secondary has always struggled.
It has.
I mean, it's like they can generate pressure, but they're not able to make those plays in the secondary. So their defense, I just think, is always a mediocre defense because of that.
Yeah.
And their offense is not going to be anything special.
Yeah, I mean, they have Rashawn Slater, who I think will mitigate what Trey Hendrickson can do in that game, because Rashawn Slater is a great tackle.
Yeah, they have a couple guys like that on their own line.
Yeah,
but
they still Corey Lindsey, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so, I mean, the offensive line is solid, but I don't think their receivers can open it up enough. I'm not sure how much the run game can do. I really don't see the Chargers putting up much of a fight.
Yeah, I don't see the Chargers being that great of a team this year, personally. And it sucks for Justin Herbert because I like him as a quarterback. I think he's a really talented quarterback, but he's never had the weapons. I guess when you think about it, last year he did have. I mean, even before last year, he had Keenan Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah.
The only problem with that though is there was always one of them injured. Mostly it was Mike Williams.
Mike Williams was very constantly.
And then Keenan Allen's had an injury too.
But
he
also
had
had
an
Austin
injury,
Eckler, who was a great receiving threat.
Yeah, but Austin Eckler didn't make much of an impact last year.
He didn't last year.
So
I know I drafted him in fantasy.
Yeah, and I traded for him from you, and he didn't do anything.
I know.
So
yeah, it was a rough year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking that's an easy W. I think the Chargers aren't going to be very good this year. The Steelers. So what are you thinking about the Steelers? Another AFC North game.
I think a win here. I don't know how Russ is going to do this year. I really don't. I mean, he could come out good, but I don't. It was a risky signing, very dangerous signing, if that's what you want to say.
Sure.
But I don't know. And I like their roster. Their roster is really good. The defense is incredible. They have Patrick Queen now. They brought him in. But I like the Bengals here. I think they beat the Chargers by quite a bit, and then I think they come in. They're not going to beat the Steelers by a lot, but I think it's going to be one of those games where it was never really in question. Mm-hmm. Like, they might win by 7 or 10, but the whole time throughout the game, after halftime, you would have been like, yeah, the Bengals are probably going to win this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, honestly, for the Steelers, I don't think there's really too many threats when you look at the Steelers for the Bengals. I mean, really, it's just a matter of how's TJ Watt playing, because that's always in Bengals games.
Yeah,
that's always what decides it. He's always, I mean, every game they beat us, TJ Watt's having a huge game.
Yeah, TJ Watt just has a huge.
And that's the thing is, I think he somehow is always able to figure out the Bengals offense, and then that opens things up for the rest of the Steelers defense. Mm-hmm. And I think the Steelers are going to have a really good defense this year, like they always do.
Yeah.
And it's just hard because they do play the Steelers later in the season. So for the Steelers, I think it's going to be similar to the Browns. I think it's going to be kind of a situation where each team gets one. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of who wins at what time. Mm-hmm. And honestly, in this game, I almost feel like the Steelers, I don't want to say surprise, but I guess surprise the Bengals a little bit. And the Bengals kind of underestimate them because I feel like their offense is going to struggle throughout the season.
It might. It could.
But I think they may be able to have a decent game. And on top of their offense, their defense is always good, and they play good against the Bengals for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm feeling a loss here.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I don't know. I just feel like the defense is going to be what kills them.
Yeah.
I think TJ Watt's going to have a huge game.
He's
going to sack Joe Burrow, and I think that's going to give the rest of their defense juice. And I think that's what's going to just terrorize Joe Burrow throughout the whole game, and I think they're going to beat him.
Yeah.
Cowboys. So this one's a tough one for me. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know. You may be thinking it's easy, dead set.
Cowboys are always good. Mm-hmm. Right. They're a regular season team. I know that's like a joke, but they are always very solid in the regular season. But, I mean, you look at their offense, Dak Prescott, who was solid last year, but a lot of turnovers and was iffy at times. CeeDee Lamb, who was incredible last year. Mm-hmm. But then, so they lost Tony Pollard, right?
Yeah, their running back room, not that. They did sign Ezekiel.
Yeah, they brought Zeke back, but he was not very good last year. They've got Deuce Vaughn and Rico Dowdle, who Deuce Vaughn didn't get a lot of playing time.
Well,
he's very small.
He did show good flashes in preseason, but he's a very small guy.
But if you hit Deuce Vaughn, it's like...
Rico Dowdle played pretty well last year, actually, though. He was a really underrated pass catcher. He for the Cowboys in the red zone, he caught a lot of passes. He had some touchdowns. But yeah, I don't know what you're thinking.
I mean, I think they're going to be good. Like I said, I think they're going to be really good. But I think, again, the Bengals go on a little win streak, beat the Chargers, beat the Steelers. I think they win this game. Okay. I could definitely see them winning this game right here.
Okay. So for this game, I almost feel like this is going to be one of those things where it's going to be an offensive shootout, because I feel like and I say shootout, as in they're going to be passing the ball a lot. Yeah. Because you're going to have the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb and who else is
Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup, but did they didn't draft anybody, did they? I know their tight end's pretty good.
What's his name? What his name is?
Jeez, yeah, I literally had him in fantasy. Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson's a pretty good tight end. Yeah. And the Cowboys have depth at tight end. They always do.
And the offensive line is always good.
They always have a good offensive line. I think the Cowboys are overall just a strong team, and I think it's going to be a shootout. And the thing is I think Joe Burrow and the offensive weapons of the Bengals are better than the Cowboys. But the only thing that kind of worries me a little bit is, I don't know, it's just the gameplay of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, it seems like the Cowboys always draw up just weird plays. And they have a lot of different personnel in. Like a lot of times they do have like more than one tight end in at the game. And I meant like during like a play, like there'll be multiple tight end sets. And they utilize the running backs in weird ways. And I don't think they're going to have the best running back room, but I think the Cowboys just know how to utilize. I think Mike McCarthy's a very smart coach, even though he's got a lot of hate. And I think he knows how to utilize different players in his offense.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Bengals are, like I said, a more talented offense, but I think the Cowboys are going to outsmart them in this game. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking this is going to be another L personally.
Okay.
Both good teams. I think the Bengals are going to have a better record than the Cowboys, but I just have a feeling the Cowboys are going to be able to outsmart them and do some different trick things that sometimes the Bengals struggle with against those trick plays because those a lot of times open up big yardage, and their defense struggled a lot up against letting up big plays. Yeah. I mean, they were a top team in letting up big plays, and I think the Cowboys feed off that a lot of times.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb does definitely a lot.
I'm personally thinking an L there.
Okay.
Titans.
The Titans.
I think they're going to bounce back. I think they're going to be a decent young team, but I don't think
Will Levis is going to be solid. I mean, they have
DeAndre Hopkins,
Tyler Boyd,
Calvin Ridley,
Brian Callahan is their coach now, and Brian Callahan, as we know, very good offensive mind.
See, that's the thing is the Titans. I think they're the thing about the Titans is for whatever reason the Titans always have a good defensive line. It seems like
Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, obviously he's going to be there. Yeah. But it just seems like they're always creating pressure. And I think that'll happen again. The Titans were the team that, was it in the playoffs against the Bengals where they sacked Joe Burrow like 8 times or something?
Yeah, and Jeffrey Simmons had a solid 3 of them.
So it's like a lot of these teams, I think it's going to be their, and it's hard, it sounds weird to say because the Bengals have a better offense than they do defense. But I feel like a lot of these teams, it's going to be their defense is giving the Bengals struggles.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I just do. And I think the Titans are going to be the same way. But I don't know what you're thinking prediction-wise on that.
I mean, they're going to be good. The Titans are going to be good. I think they're going to surprise. They're in a week. I mean, Colts should be all right with Anthony Richardson. Texans are going to be good. Who else is in that division?
Texans, Colts. Why can I not think of the other one either?
Jaguars. Right?
Oh, that's who. I think
I
that's
don't
who
know
it is.
if they're going to be. I mean, I could see the Titans surprising some people. I don't think they're going to sit very high in that division because the Texans are going to be good. I think the Colts are going to be solid. I hope Anthony Richardson has a fully healthy year because I do like Anthony Richardson. I think I think he has the potential to be really good. And I mean, they have Tony Pollard, right?
Yeah, and he played all right
last year. A couple other people, but I would say a W for the Bengals here. I think they got hot. They lost a game to the Ravens. They're going to get hot again. I mean, I don't know how many losses I have them at right now.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out at the end.
So the other thing with the Titans, though, they do have L'Jarius Sneed.
They do.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, that's true. And Cheeto. They signed Cheeto.
Oh,
Cheeto wasn't great last year.
He was okay last year.
He's a veteran.
Yeah, he's a better player. I think, just the Titans' defense as a whole is going to give them struggles. It's like their offense is a good offense. It's just, are they going to be able to put it together? Because they have TJ Spears. I really like him as a running back behind Tony Pollard. I don't think Tony Pollard does very well in the RB1 role. But
maybe not.
Just basing it off of last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's only 1 year, but he just struggled constantly. Yeah. And they did pass the ball more than run, but it's like, it's almost like the Cowboys didn't even really utilize him as the RB1. They were like throwing weird, that's what I'm saying. The Cowboys do weird things sometimes. But when they did, and he ran the ball, it just didn't work. It's like he almost feeds off of the first guy. Like he's like a guy, Zeke's in there, and then he comes in, and then he makes a big play. But it's like, I don't know if he's really a good, like, RB1 workhorse type of back. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, I think the Titans are going to have okay team. I think they're honestly going to probably be the bottom of their division, even though they're going to have an okay team. I think their division is going to be pretty competitive. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the AFC North, but I think it's going to be one of the more competitive divisions in football. Yeah. So I think they're going to finish with a decent record, but they're still going to be close to the bottom of their division. I think their defense and offense are both going to step up, but I got the Bengals beating them here.
Yeah.
Browns. I said it was going to be kind of a trade-off. I think the Browns are going to be healthier at this point. I think they're going to be more connected. I think they're going to have the Bengals number. Their defense is going to be a struggle. I think their offense is going to be pretty good at this point in the year. I think they beat the Bengals here.
I was going to say the same thing. I think the Browns take this one from the Bengals. Bengals won the first one. I like the Browns here. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much we can say. We already talked about the Browns quite a bit. So
I think this is an L. Broncos, I think this is a W for sure. Yeah. The Broncos, the thing with the Broncos is they're just so young. They have talent.
Yeah.
And I think they could be a good team, but I think they have a lot more pieces to address.
They do.
To be a good team. I mean, their defense wasn't really that hot.
I mean, you have PS2.
That's about it, though.
I mean,
because they had what's his name? Their safety, Justin Simmons.
Justin Simmons. Did they not? Where is he at?
He's released. He hasn't been picked up by
Hasn't
anybody.
been picked up yet?
I don't think so. It's like they had some good pieces in the secondary, but their defensive line wasn't very good. Their secondary really wasn't that good, though, as a whole. Like, I mean, it really wasn't. They had a couple good players, but it wasn't that great.
Yeah, he hasn't been picked up yet. Justin Simmons has not.
But yeah, like, I mean, they have these young players. They have keys. Cortland Sutton, I think, is a very good wide receiver.
Yeah,
I think he's underrated.
Very reliable.
Yeah,
I would say.
But Bo Nix, we don't know how he's going to be.
And they have Tim Patrick, who always kind of confuses me because he seemed to have like a year, maybe a couple years, where he was very good, very underrated. Not a lot of people know about him. And as soon as the spotlight kind of cast his way, he like disappeared.
And they have who's the other receiver they had that had a decent year last year? Had a couple. He's I don't remember his name. It's like Lil. Is it Lil Jordan? Lil Jordan. I think that's his name. Lil Jordan Humphrey. I may be way off.
Excuse me?
But I'm pretty sure.
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Yes. I'm pretty sure. Am I way off? Yes.
That is
Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Crazy.
I'm pretty sure it was him. It was either him. So it was either him or it was another receiver from the Broncos.
I don't remember hearing anything. Yeah, look up his stats.
It may have been another guy. I may be off here.
Yeah, he only had 100. Well, I mean, he had 3 touchdowns, but 162
He did have 3
yards.
touchdowns.
I don't know who you're.
So it may have been him, but Tim Patrick.
Broncos 2023 roster.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims.
Okay,
that's who I was thinking.
That
of.
makes a lot more sense.
Well, I don't know why I thought of Lil Jordan Humphrey, but Marvin Mims had a couple breakaway plays. He's a speed threat. He's a deep threat. I think he's a good returner. I think he can step up. I think that, like I said, I think the Broncos have a lot of potential. I think they're young. They can develop.
Yeah,
but I also think
I don't trust Bo Nix.
No, and I don't think they're established, or I don't think they have all the pieces. Like I feel like they're kind of like the Texans. But the Texans have all the pieces to where they're going to be a successful football team. I think the
Broncos don't really.
They're a similar team. Yeah. They're a similar team, but they don't have the same pieces like overall throughout the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a win. And honestly, I think it's going to be a pretty big win.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Steelers. Do you think the Steelers take?
I think.
Did you have the Steelers winning or?
I had the Bengals beating the Steelers, I believe.
Yeah, the Steelers. Okay, I had them beat. You had them winning.
I think
the Bengals take both games, or?
I do not, because I think this is going to be a game where the Bengals have already made the playoffs. And I talked about it with the preseason where they don't play a lot of players.
Yeah,
because they don't want anybody to get hurt
at this time.
If they are locked into the playoffs here,
they're not going to play.
Well, I mean, with the record they have right here, I doubt they have a chance at the number 1 seed. Because you're going to want that bye week, I will say. But I think with the record I've given them, I don't think they're going to have a chance that bye week, but I think they're going to be locked into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to start anybody. They don't have anything to win. They don't have anything to lose. I don't think they start anybody. I think the Steelers take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I had Steelers winning the first game. I think, like I said, I think the Steelers kind of surprised them in that game with their defense. I think the Bengals kind of catch on to that, and I think they focused on T.J. Watt in their first game because I know he's going to be the main threat. But I feel like in the second game, they maybe adjust to him more and they figure out what he's going to want to do, even though they played him in the past multiple times. Yeah. But it's like they have different players on their offensive line playing this year.
Yeah.
So I feel like they figure out how to adjust more to him in the second game. And really, I mean, he's like, I know I'm just saying one player. Like, one player does not make a game,
but he
kind of does.
Yeah, I mean,
especially when they're playing the Bengals, he really
sacks,
does.
He bats down
because
passes.
It's not just that he does all these things. He also just gives the team so much momentum. But I feel like they adjust a little bit to him in this game. I think that he gets them in the first game, but they realize how much of a threat he is. And the thing is, like I said, they've already realized that in the past.
Yeah.
But they have different players playing now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like this is going to be a win. I feel like the first game they're going to beat them, but I think they're going to bounce back and get in this game.
All right, we're gonna
tally this that's up. All the games. Let's tally it up here. So
all right, so you had 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, 7-4, 7-5, 7-6, 8-6, 8-7, 9-7, 10-7. So you had them at 10-7, which I think is very likely. I think they play in a tough division.
I think it's going to be probably 10-7, 11-6. I think they're going to be around.
I had them 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, 7-4, 8-4, 9-4, 10-4, 10-5, 11-5, 11-6.
So you had them. That's
11,
what I'm thinking.
10-7. I had them 11-6.
It's going to be 10-7 or 11-6.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be a solid playoff team. I don't think they're going to be on the brink. I don't think it's going to be like, oh, are they going to make the playoffs? But they're also, I don't think they're going to be the number one seed.
No, I wouldn't say. And honestly, I'm thinking about everybody in the division is probably going to be around this. I feel like I have a feeling the Browns and Steelers are probably both going to be around 9-8. I would think probably. Yeah. I think they're going to have a winning record. I think everybody in the division.
I think it's going to happen 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and I think the Ravens are going to be either 10-7, 11-6, or they may be 12-5. They're going to be either
I think it's going to be either the Bengals or the Ravens that win the division. But I think I could see the Browns and the Steelers having a winning record.
Because the thing is I think the Steelers and Browns are going to end up, because that's the thing. The Steelers always end up with a winning record.
It's every year. It makes me so
It's
mad.
Like they're 9-8 all the time.
Yes. They start the year and you're like, yes, Mike Tomlin finally has a losing season. They win the last however many games, and then they get some dumb one at the end of the season, and then they squeak out 9-8.
They're gonna probably end up being 9-8 somehow. And if they're not, they're gonna be very, very close to it. They're somehow gonna probably have a winning record.
I mean, everybody in the AFC North would be a playoff team if they weren't in the AFC.
Oh yeah, I mean, because they all are good. And their defenses alone, they all have top defenses, and they can get them there. They also, if Deshaun Watson's able to bounce back and play better, and if Nick Chubb's going to be healthy, aside from the Steelers, they all have top offenses, very good offenses that are going to make a huge impact, and they're going to be a big threat to other teams.
Yeah.
The Steelers, I wouldn't say so much. They have a good running back room. They just don't have any receivers, and there's uncertainty with their quarterback. But I think they're all going to be good teams. I think the Bengals are going to go 10-7, or like you said, 11-6.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be top of the division, either winning the division or second of the division.
And I would say playoff spot.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're definitely making the playoffs. I think Bengals are making a run. They're going to the Super Bowl this year, and they are winning. They're not getting beat this year. We are winning a Super Bowl this year. This is our year to do it. Next year, I think we're good, but we're just kind of decent. Depending on, I have no idea what's going to happen.
We
don't know who's going to get
the
signed.
T. Higgins situation.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm just tired out of my butt right now. Yeah. But for this year, though, I do think Bengals are going to go far. And I'm really hoping far means the Super Bowl. I think if they come in contact with the Chiefs in this playoffs, I'm loving it, because they are going to destroy the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're not going to destroy them, but I think they're going to beat them for sure. I think the Bengals got their number. Yeah. I think the Bengals are going to go far. And that's our prediction on the schedule. Yeah. Anything else you got to say?
Not really.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.